A GTI in Tornado Red, a new 1.5 liter engine here in Kurkuma Yellow, and a variant, a GTD in Tungsten Silver. Well, they all three have one thing in common. They belong to the new Volkswagen Golf Facelift. And we will show you this facelift here in different variants and tell you everything you need to know about the changes we have on the exterior and on the interior. Exterior, interior and driving experience as always on Autogefühl, and we'll focus here on the GTI from driving and on the new 1.5 liter engine, what's to expect there. And everything you will see on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. Of course, as always, in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! One million Volkswagen Golf sales per year, and this is the new face of the Golf 7 facelift. And it's very interesting to know, it now also features those LED headlights. Also, if you not only go, e-Golf or the GTE, now all the Golf variants can be ordered optional with those LED headlights. The Highline comes automatically with the top trim level. This is the normal Golf here. But in a high trim already you see here that the chrome fin leads over through the headlights, and this is the new design scheme. So the major design change comes when you also pick the top LED headlights in the front. And what is very remarkable, as this car has also been topped up with a lot of sensors. Here the VW logo, it's 2D, and we often complain about 2D logos, but somehow they managed to arrange the letters in a way that it does not look that 2D alike. Maybe even in the camera it looks 3D alike. Manufacturers do that to hide the sensor behind it, because now also from the middle trim you get the front assist from serial equipment, and you also have the traffic assist up to a speed of 60 kilometers an hour. We'll also test it later on when we drive the car. So topped up the assistant systems, that's also the reason why everything can be hidden underneath the logo here. Now, what do you think about the new front? Also take a look at the lower part right here. It's also with a horizontal stress. Now it gets really interesting when we move over to the GTI, because the GTI, same as with the Highline, always comes with the LED headlights, and here we got those red accentuations, especially fitting when you have the Tornado Red color. Perfect match. You see here the horizontal fin leads over again to the LED headlights, very beautiful. And then the front grille is more powerful here in the lower part, goes lower of course as the GTI sits lower, stronger, and again the contrast here with red and black. More streamlined, more horizontal layout, so even stronger and more modern look now in the facelift for the front. And again, the biggest change, of course, if you pick a Highline or one of the GTI or GTD models. So the GTD, for example, looks pretty much similar in the front. meters 26 or 14 foot is the length of the hatch version. You will soon see that the variant is a little bit longer. Side profile has not been touched really from the facelift. The GTI comes with 17-inch rims from standard. Those ones here, the optional 18-inch with a, let's say, covered look. And also with this turbine look, maybe fits to this tornado red name. Also got a GTI badge right there. Other than that, a classic Golf layout. It is one of the most conservative layouts in the segment, but also at the same time one of the most elegant ones. And the Golf 7 of course has this strong design line here in all of the versions. You see the hatch still has this very significant C-pillar. Where did that evolve from? You can check it out in our Golf Generations video, but here still very prominent. So the redesigned rear mainly consists of those tail lights that have been redesigned. All come with LED now in all Golf variants, also the variant, but it looks a little bit different. Here the hatch is the most complicated version if you pick the highest trim, because there are also like two different versions of those. This one's come with the GTI, the highest versions. I will soon show you the light effects. What is remarkable is just a little difference here in the styling to the variant. The variant more goes like this one a little bit sharper here, and the overall design. This one here says, screaming out, I am LED. The ones with the variant, they don't look so much like LED. Therefore, a lot of people said, it's not an LED. But soon take another look at that one. Here first now to the light effects. So now different modes. To see the LED lights in the rear, just click through different light modes. Also hit the brakes just gently, and then very hard for full brake. Gently again and very hard. Then the turning indicators, you can see the special ones that are in place there right now. Also if I put on the warning indicator for both sides. So very nice effects here, really spectacular. That's not exactly available for the variant. You will soon see it. It's a little bit different. So this one here, of course, the more attractive version they picked for the hatch, as it's also the most selling one. And of course, signature for the GTI, massive exhaust pipe, one for each side. That's huge for a compact car. Tungsten silver here for the variant, and or estate or combi as we say in Germany, but variant or variant is of course the official name for it. In this case it's a GTD, as you all see with the badge, so a powerful diesel version. Also has here the optional 18-inch rims in a black silver dual scheme. So very attractive as for the rims, very fitting to the tungsten silver as well. And the side profile in general has not been changed that much. So if you take a broader look here, also a black scheme around the windows to make it a little bit look aggressive with the GTD, but still more a form follows function line. You see the Golf has this one rather dramatic design, and right here below the door handles, the estate version 30 centimeters longer than the hatch. So remember, the hatch was 426 in meters and 14 feet or 14 foot, and this one here, the estate, 30 centimeters longer, 4 meters 56. And you see it here that another design line evolves here in the side and leaps over to the rear. And the rear of the variant, you see, this is remarkable for the Golf. The variant and the hatch version from the rear, they almost look identical. Now, a lot of people have said, in the facelift, the variant does not have LED taillights. It does. Every Golf from the facelift has LED taillights. The difference, however, is it does not come with the highest trim, let's say, for the LED. So we just have it now. Here the brake lights, you can see. And also when you have the turning indicators, they do not exactly behave the same. Whether it's the hatch, and the hatch they also have this optional cascading function, and also this two-level appearance from the LED brake lights. But that's not the case for the variant. So that's a difference, but it's still LED. And by the way, next to the 5-door hatch, we also have a 3-door hatch with the GTI that you can see the difference. I mean, they have already aligned the other version that it looks pretty similar. This one here, you could say it looks a little bit sporty, a little bit more compact. But I must say I'm pretty used to the 5-door variant. Which one is your favorite? What's underneath the hood? GTI, the normal version here, now features 230 horsepower. So far, that was the performance version. So the old figures are 220 and 230, now 230 and 245. Normal GTI version plus 10 horsepower, performance version plus 15 horsepower. 6.4 seconds is the acceleration figure, 0 to 100 kilometers or 61-62 miles an hour. And that's not a big difference to the pre-facelift. Maybe you have just a little more kick. And also new software on there, so might be a little bit more efficient. And the Golf R, by the way, will also have 10 horsepower more than 310 horsepower, and Golf R and e-Golf facelift will also be in our full review just in a couple of weeks then, or maybe if you watch this video later after it's released, it will already be linked in the video description. Key, GTI badge, then the famous Golf solid door closing sound. Here we go, and this is the special GTI interior. Beeps because the light is not set to auto. So, and what can we see here? Those special GTI seats with the famous structure in red with the red contrast, and it's a great seat because it's all made from fabric, it's sustainable, and you don't really need more. Also with a lot of side support, and you don't sweat in summer, and it's not freezing cold in winter times, so I can really recommend those seats. You know, in the GTE or in the e-Golf, those are in blue. And we can also have a black variant. I will show you that one in the GTD. And later on with the key, you can also, when you have a memory seat, an electric seat, you will have the possibility to have user profiles that your seat will be set for your height. So maybe, you know, husband and wife, different in height, and then the key is set automatically when they open the car with the key. And that's one step to the so-called Volkswagen ID. We had a feature of that on the latest motor show coverage, which will, you know, really like an Apple ID, connect the user to the car and set all of the different parameters. You might have also music and volume and everything. This very interesting feature that will be linked to the memory seats. I'm just not sure. We have to find out about that later on if the memory seat will be linked to animal skin surface. That's maybe not the best option. We have to see how that one will be available. It might also depend from market to market. Seating position here in a compact vehicle. My size or my height is 186 in meters or 6'1". Still have enough headroom left. No panoramic roof inbuilt here. There is one available. Often, for example, in the US, they combine the sunroof with the animal skin seats. Then you should not go for it. It always gives you better headroom, especially in the rear. You will see that very soon. Then steering wheel. I would just ask my Volkswagen dealer if I can get one from the Club Sport with microfiber. It's not official, but I would just ask for it and see what happens. The form is really good, compact, then also with a flat in the bottom, GTI logo, and this front grille structure that was also before the facelift. As we see in the front grille, this comp structure here around the VW logo. ACC control, if you have one in there, adaptive cruise control are built in here. Now also optionally with the traffic jam assist. And the right side, then you can control the virtual cockpit or active info display, as Volkswagen is calling it there. You can already see it. That's new with the facelift. The steering wheel you can adjust manually. It's a very smooth process and also a lot of variations. And seats here, the manual ones, and I mean, they will just do fine. You can also put them higher or yo pump it up. Running gag at Autogefühl. And also the back part here. It's a little bit hard to adjust that, but maybe you don't do it that often. And here, right there it is. And then there's also another storage space just below the seat. Well, this is a little bit loose. Not sure how often you will use it. Here now it's fixed when it's fully opened. It's you know, secret cover here. Why not have it? And then also next to the steering wheel, there's another one. The active info display, 12.3 inch, now available also for the Golf. Optionally, you do not have to get it if you still like analog gauges. You have more possibilities with this one here. For example, put the GPS in the middle, and this is special because it does not have the satellite view here. That's the philosophy of Volkswagen. It's different with Audi. They also offer the satellite view in the middle. But you can not only put the navigation in there, also you know, other stuff. You can also change the general layout or what you want to have shown right in here, or the driver assistance systems in the left or right gauges. So I usually leave it here with the speed and gear, and then you can also put something else in the middle, the audio or telephone info, or also vehicle status like here, or also a lap timer is also available, especially for the GTI. The GTI in general has this red layout that was customized for the GTI, or also the driving data you can put in there. 9 liter, just after playing around, you can also get the consumption lower even with the GTI. Cockpit overview, first of all, still the clean design, also good quality, for example, soft plastics here on the dashboard. But what's new now? Well, all infotainment screens are bigger now. 6.5 it starts, also as a standard one. Then 8 inch, almost like this. And this one here is the top one, 9.2 inch. And the other two ones, they have still those two knobs here for volume and zooming in. Here, no buttons left. You just have this warning indicator button on the top that's mandatory from regulations in Germany and Europe. But here you can just, for example, scroll around in the map then. This is the home screen, by the way. You see here the map gets bigger, nice with a satellite view. That's also available. Wow, what a bay here on the island of Majorca. Really love that. And you can see reaction times are quite good. Works fast and also easy to control. And great resolution, really. Looks really very nice. And also when we take a look at the rear view camera, well, as the resolution is so good from the map, it looks a little bit worse, but overall it's also quite good. Sensor and camera still. Maybe, I mean, it is still the same camera, it seems. I think the camera looks a little bit worse than before because the screen is too good for the camera. Maybe the camera resolution should have been updated as well. Then it would also look better on this very screen here. Then you have this new home screen. Those are capacitive buttons, so it's all flat, but they still react. So what's happening? You have this home screen, and you can also put your favorite images, maybe from your wife or maybe your dog or your cat, right here. And yeah, there we go. So here you can see it in a beautiful resolution. Then always when you see this small hand on the right lower part, that means this is a menu where you can use the gesture control. You see, it takes a little bit to load the big pictures, but here you can just wipe and use this gesture control. Would I really use it and just not do it like this? I'm not sure. Here, the cathedral in Palma de Mallorca, La Saeed, very beautiful building here. And well, you can use it like this. It's a nice feature, but it's not really, you know, utterly necessary. This home screen, this is this consumption sync blue trainer here, by the way. You can also adjust it. For example, put your phone here. So whatever you want best, you can also adjust it. And the basic main menu is like here now, like this app view. And there you can also connect your phone here via Bluetooth. That's possible. Or you can also use Apple CarPlay. That would be via App Connect then. So the cable connection from your smartphone. So you see also this new view, basically very nice. Gesture control, it's, you know, here also working. Well, I think you have to be quite close. Usually it should work here now, but you see, well, maybe sometimes not. I think I wouldn't really use it. I would just like do it like this, and also have a microfiber towel ready to wipe it then. Volume control will be here then. Yeah, I'm missing a button actually. Visually, it looks better that way, no doubt. But I think, well, sometimes some buttons are maybe still helpful, but here in this vehicle, I would think then change the volume just at the steering wheel. So below the AC unit, we have this flipping mechanism, also USB port, and you put the Apple Car connection right there, and also, you know, you can put the phone right there. Then here the 6-speed manual gearbox with this golf ball knob, very nice idea. And later on there will also be the 7-speed DSG available for the GTI then. But here, of course, crisp shifting ways if you're a fan of manual work. This is the mode selector. You can have it for eco, comfort, normal, sport or individual. We will show you that when we drive the car. Then you can also have the electronic stability control in 2 ways. You press it once to activate or half deactivate it. Well, if you really want to have a launch start, then you could deactivate it, that you can allow the wheels to spin. Otherwise, it will be blocked a little bit, and when you hold it longer, you should not do it on the street. Then, you know, it's even more drawn back. But usually you can just always leave it on. That's for street driving. Maybe when you're on a racetrack, you could play around with that one a little bit. Electronic handbrake right here. Then you can put the key, 12-volt power supply, and beverage holders a little bit adaptive. They will do just fine. And always a good sign for quality. This is totally fixed. This, you know, this armrest right here. And of course, you know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And just to show you the variant, also in the GTD in another color, this is dark iron blue. Pretty interesting color. It is a very dark blue, and I usually prefer brighter blues, but it has some elegance, doesn't it? One short look at the interior of this variant GTD, because also to show you how the interior can fit to the exterior. Now in the hatch we had the red seats here in special GTI structure. Here it is also in a black form, in a dark form with gray or white accents, and this really fits to the darker exterior color then. Same seats basically from the C4, very sporty of course, also in the GTD, and again a very strict designed and also clean interior here as well. Let's get in the rear here now, because I'll take a seat in the variant interior to show you. You have a little bit more knee room right here, just a little bit more than in the hatch, but the difference is not really this 13 centimeters. It's more a difference in the trunk you'll soon see. However, a good sitting position here as well. Also headroom wise, well, already the hatch was quite good if you don't put the panoramic roof. Here a little bit more, of course, as it goes further way down to the rear. Then you also have a armrest, and also you can move it to the ski hatch. Overall, a more versatile version with the variant, but the thing is really about the rear. And of course, Isofix covers here at the outsides of the seats each, so you can mount 2 child seats. And here we go. And there you can see the difference. So the longer the car, you know, the length, the more in length of the car is more put in the trunk. You can see it right here, and of course more versatile. Also, we put some bicycles, for example, in with demounted front tire. You can also remove this bar here. If you don't want to remove it, it's a good solution because we have a rail on the left and the right side, so it's not wobbling around. So, I mean, those are the simple things, but It's really good that they are also built in a high-class quality. Here, by the way, a replacement tire, and the DIN audio sound system is inside, so very good using of space. And we hop over to another interior of this Kurkuma yellow Golf, which is not the GTI, because it's also very interesting. This is the so-called Ergo Active seat. So not the GTI seat, but also very attractive with microfiber on the inside and then gloss on the outside. Very beautiful and great materials. And you can see the difference to the GTI seat. You have a little bit more seating surface, the space you have, and also a little bit longer. And I will also test drive this one, so let's see how this one plays out then for the comfort. Here you can see the Ergo Active sign with a lumbar support electronic, and also here with a seat massage function. And let's get inside, take a seat here, also to compare it to the GTI seat. And yeah, indeed, you have a little bit more room, more seat surface. At the first impression, it is more comfortable, and let's see how it turns out when driving. I also have the seat massage activated. It's more in the lower lumbar area, so it doesn't go all the way up to the shoulders. It's not a must-have feature, but the seat itself, the Ergo Comfort seat, also with this seat surface mix, is really recommendable. Other difference, the steering wheel is not exactly like in the GTI, also don't have a badge here, but you see already the standard Highline steering wheel. It has a little flat bottom, so already quite sporty. And I mean, look at this cockpit. We're in a compact segment. It's not officially a premium car, but already when the instruments are turned off, this car is definitely premium. And again to the infotainment screen, and I mean, that's another appearance. No matter what you think about, what you think about those digital instruments and also the new big screen without the buttons, it looks great and it looks high class, like an upper class car. And difference is the non-GTI instruments look a little bit different. And here, by the way, I also want to show you how it looks like without Google Earth. I can also show you that. You have a better overview then, so you can switch that around. And now listen carefully, that accounts for Germany 100%, for the most European markets, and maybe it will be similar in the US. This bigger screen you always have to go for optionally. With the Highline car, as we have here, also with the GTI, GTD, GTE and so on, you get the 8-inch screen as standard, and can top it up for this one. And the lowest trim level has a 6.5-inch screen. So a little bit complicated, of course, always what comes with what car, definitely. But more and more people will also go for this one here, by the way, proximity sensor. The proximity sensor is also for the lower two screens available, by the way. Here we can another look at the home screen, how it looks like here. There we go again with this stuff you can also individualize. And here, of course, also then those photos here of the Kurkuma yellow. By the way, if you sometimes think it's not working, you really have to hold your fingers close. It's not like you can do this, you have to hold it close and quite close also to the screen. So you don't really have to touch it. There we go. Let's go. But it seems like sometimes you also need some practice, but the tips were actually to keep the fingers closed and also hold it quite close to the screen. But I'm not sure if I've activated. Oh, there we can also turn it upside down. Maybe I will also have maybe when the proximity sensor is activated, maybe then it's also not there. Go again. Yeah, that was also the solution, so now it works again. And here the digital instruments, they don't have this special GTI racing style, they are more neutral, as we also know it from the Passat. And then of course you can change around the views again and what you want to use. For example, classic, you can change what you want to have displayed right here in the middle of the instruments, or have the GPS, off-road GPS in there, the assistance system. So a lot of possibilities, again, the audio info and so on. But, and then again, to repeat it, you do not have to get the digital instrument. They are always optional, also in combination to the biggest central infotainment screen. Getting to the rear, also the same nice microfiber design for the seats. And here, again, 1.86 m in height, or 6'1". So you have enough room in front of your knees, and I think it is a little bit better than with the GTI seats here on at the rear. And I mean, that's, I would say, pretty much standard in the compact segment. We had quite a lot of cars which had less room here, and some cars which had more room. I think, well, not exactly average in the compact segment, I think above average. Also headroom-wise, that's really good. And I mean, the Golf from the outside has also angular shapes, and that also leaves us a lot of space then on the inside. In the middle part, you can also have this armrest here with beverage holders and also the ski hatch. And well, the only thing here with the hatch is you have to flip the seats from here, and it has a 2/3 or 1/3 split. There it is, and then we can also take a look at that one from the trunk. Let's look at the trunk, or translation for our UK viewers, the boot, of course, or German lesson, the famous Kofferraum. And well, we could reach to flip the seats right here. That is still possible, not just too comfortable. We have some bags in here. They can load things through. Let's get an impression. I think, again, for a compact segment, very handy. Skoda is of course a little bit better, but their cars are also each a little bit longer in the respective segment. But not too much other compact cars which offer so much space. You see, not too much is lost actually. So we begin our driving part with the GTI, 230 horsepower as I mentioned earlier. And the interesting thing is cruising now about 90, 93 kilometers an hour. So just a little bit below 60 miles an hour. And well, that's, by the way, you always fancy a lot of cyclists here in Majorca training, also the very professional ones. The thing is about this car, we're still in the compact segment, and you always have to be aware of that. And for a compact car, I mean, driving at 90 kilometers an hour, it's so silent in here. So the Volkswagen Golf definitely among the best ones as it comes for the sound insulation. I think also leading in the segment, just alongside probably an Audi A3. So they got that figured out really well, very well. And I mean, of course, always on the level as the real premium brand. So you can really say that the Audi, BMW, or Mercedes is more silent than Golf. Wouldn't say so. This one here, it's not a cheap car, but not in the premium price range as the real premium manufacturers. So that's a crucial point for sure. Then also, before coming to some more sporty aspects, while driving, you can see the optional virtual cockpit. It's called Audio or active info display. It's called at Volkswagen. The GTI also has it here, and well, you can, for example, have the digital speed. That's also good for you to see that. On the left side, which you cannot see, it's blocked by the steering wheel. There's the RPM meter, and also the shifting display is, for example, tells me now I should go from 4th to 6th directly as I'm not accelerating. So now the RPM goes a little bit more down. But in the middle one you could see there's the map, but not with a satellite view as we have in the big 9.2-inch screen. And I think that's a good decision. Audi has another philosophy there. Audi says I still offer the satellite view in the middle part, but here Volkswagen, we have seen the same with the Passat. So it's a little bit too distracting when having the satellite view in the front of the driver, and I think again that's the right decision. So a little bit simplified display, and then for the co-driver, or if the driver itself has some time to check it out in the middle part, then it's okay. But here I have a good display that can also have this one here. Then assistant systems, also here the ACC I can set, the speed is maintained, also the distance to the car in front of me would be maintained, but luckily we have no car in front of us now anymore. A very reliable system. In the side mirrors, if someone would overtake, I could also see it, where the symbol in the side mirrors that also flashes up then. And no traffic at the moment, but up to a speed of 60 kilometers an hour. Also the traffic assist is working half autonomously now, that you could theoretically also take off the hands of the steering wheel, but that's not how it's meant to be. But it's just helping driving, accelerating and braking, and also steering in a little bit, that you maybe a little bit relaxed still when you are in the traffic. So that's basically also in general about every Golf facelift, at least when you go for those options. Then of course the GTI, when you have it here for example in 6th gear, it can be very silent also engine wise. 90 kilometers an hour, 2000 RPM from this 2-liter turbo petrol engine. Of course you can also have more fun. Consumption wise, by the way, before we start our fun drive now, you can check out for example the driving data here, change it to the middle part. It says now 8.7 liters on 100 kilometers. Just Google 8.7 liters in 100 kilometers in MPG. Then you have the MPG figure. That's, I would say, okay. Here, of course, already the handling, very direct steering, this progressive steering. I can leave the hands at the steering wheel all the time, unless I'm shifting here. 6-speed manual gearbox driving, but also the DSG will be available for the GTI, as always. This one here, of course, more the manual driving fun. It will be faster, although, with the DSG. Then you can get to 6.4 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers, or 61, 62 miles an hour. So, and we'll of course boost the consumption now a little bit, and we can just put anything in the middle of the display now again. It doesn't really matter. But I mean, the speed is a little bit bigger when you put something else in the middle. For example, the one from the assistant systems. You can see that the speed is getting bigger now. So I'm reducing the speed that you can hear and see something of the acceleration. Got a pretty straight road here now, and there's also no one behind us for miles. Just a little corner coming. So let's get some manual start going here, just with a little clutch. That's 100. I wasn't really like totally forcing the issue and don't want to destroy the clutch just for assessing, but you could already see the performance. Also nice sound from the exhaust. It's not too much, just a little bit. I think it's a good compromise between not destroying your reputation among all the neighbors and still having a nice refined sound inside the vehicle. And the GTI for me, now the good corner here, see how little I have to turn the steering wheel just. Here, this direct reaction. I love the steering wheel of the GTI. I mean, the steering wheel when it's with the microfiber, as we've seen in the Club Sport S or in the Club Sport, that's really great. But here, the steering characteristics so fine, so direct. It's really a lot of fun, and I think they figured that out very, very well. And again, also about just driving it every day, driving in life, and about safety. It's really, someone's overtaking us. We're not driving too fast, not more than allowed here. Some others do. we don't. But we can still have fun, of course, just, you know, with those very direct steering. Suspension-wise, also a very good compromise with the Club Sport version of the GTI. I was saying, you know, for the racetrack, great, but not really for everyday driving life. Here, I can really say you can live with it every day. Get a stiffer suspension, get more side support, also suspension-wise, when you're doing some right-left and in some corners. But still, it's comfortable enough. So this suspension setup I can really recommend for everyone, for a sporty driver, but also for someone who says, okay, I want a lot of comfort. Of course, a normal suspension is a little bit softer, that's for sure, if you don't like sporty driving at all, but you will be just fine with that. Let's just escape this Ibiza in front of us, that we can accelerate out of this nice corner here. Beautiful landscape on Majorca. Here we go. And also the acceleration is not too extreme, so it's also a good compromise. You know, you don't have the most extreme sports car, but you can still have a lot of fun with the car. So that's again, I think the GTI is always a good compromise where we can do everything with. You don't have to decide, I just want to have a sports car, I just want to have an everyday driving car. And now we are allowed to overtake, and we can also overtake the Ibiza here very soon. Let's see, maybe we do it right now here. There we go. Yeah, okay. Busted. That was driving too fast now, but you know, I wanted to give you a free look on the road that you can follow us better, and yeah, pretty safe here. We're in that straight line. Now we're in the corner again. So very nice, calm characteristic. Now, wow, it almost looks like in the US here with this straight road. So a lot of fun driving the GTI as always. Look at those reactions from the steering again. That's, I think, one of the best elements of this car. And then again, rather calm when driving faster, even if it's very windy outside. When shifting, by the way, with this golf ball stick, also a pleasure. Good to grab it, and crisp shifting ways, so you can always go back and forth, have a lot of fun with it. Short also to shift, you can shift very fastly. I'm, you know, more a fan of automatic transmissions in general. I would probably go for the DSG, but here also very nice manual transmission, so if you really fancy that one, you also have the possibility to do so. And then you can always just relax, fixed gear. There are also different driving modes. I was just in the normal mode. You can also put it in sports mode. That's more for a DSG, because then the gears are turned up higher and also shifted down earlier. Here in the manual mode, it's not making so much of difference. Maybe just a little bit sound wise, you maybe heard it. But again, with the DSG is the biggest difference. You can also have some corners now with the sport mode. A little bit better sound now. Yeah, that's definitely nice to have this option here. The suspension is also a little bit stiffer now, as we have the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, and we can also put it, for example, in comfort mode. Then it's softer, so you can also change it around. The differences are not that huge actually. Now I have to pay attention here now to the car facing us. Difference between the driving modes are not that extremely big, but you can feel a difference, especially now when you're going to sport mode again. It's a little bit stiffer now, but again, difference not that huge. You can also just leave it in the normal mode, basically, or set some individual features. Steering wheel can also be made a little bit stiffer. The seats offer good side support, especially when we are in those exciting corners, but they are also comparable to the comfort of normal Golf seats. In general, the long-term comfort is of course not bad exactly, but I, as a rather tall driver, usually prefer a segment higher to have a better long-term comfort. So, shifting back now again. It's sometimes funny to keep it in a higher gear, for example, third, to have a little bit more low frequency sound, because I think the low frequency sound sounds a little bit better here even. Very interesting. So always a lot of fun to steer the car, just when you're driving in the countryside, autobahn, or even inside the city. So it's quite famous here in Mallorca, those stone walls, especially near to olive groves, to protect them also against erosion. And there's no one behind us, hopefully we can have another Alpina watches acceleration moment. Here it goes. So, here we are. So, what do you think? Comparing, by the way, pre-facelift and the real facelift version here now, well, the differences are minor. As for the power, you have some horsepower more now, but it's not a big difference. Not that you can say, okay, I want that car now more than ever. I mean, it's good to have a little bit of horsepower more, but again, not that crucial as for the stuff. So maybe if you then compare the performance version with 245 horsepower and the non-performance version with 220, that might make a difference if you test them directly after each other. But other than that, you'll be also fine with your pre-facelift GTI, of course. Infotainment system, really the biggest changes, and the new headlights and taillights. Driving wise, it is pretty much the same than before, but of course we could give you some more interesting impressions here today with our driving part on this very beautiful island. So now there it is, the new piece, 1.5 liter TSI here with 150 horsepower, and later on also with the Blue Motion variant, 130 horsepower. You see also the engine cover has been redesigned. Here we can see this 4-cylinder style, very interesting. And I've talked to the engineer of this engine, and there's so much to tell actually in detail. They even worked on the air inside the engine, that they create some artificial turbulences to increase a better airflow, and also when mixing air and the petrol. So very interesting details. They have worked so much on this engine, and also with the coasting function, for example, or so-called sailing, also the cylinder on demand function, that cylinder can be shut off. We will test it also when we drive the car. So it promises low consumption. We'll see how this one plays out, and very interesting that this one here is really about right sizing, going up with the displacement a little bit and not again with downsizing. And that has also to do with a new EU consumption cycle that has been introduced, or will be introduced now further and further, that is more realistic. And this one also not only honors again low displacements, so that's also something, an improvement, and also about China regulations, because this engine should also be used worldwide with and without a turbo. So a lot of interesting background infos there. But of course, it's all about how this one will really play out. And maybe let's just listen to the engine right here, right now. Maybe we can even hear that it's especially silent or so. Let's test it. So here we go, and this was in neutral. And now what's now been happening? When you start the car, the engine starts at a little bit higher rev, and get all warmed up, and so now you already hear that the revs have been going down, and now it's even more silent when I'm standing next to the engine. And they are always using a lot of insulation material also here, and that means when you're standing here right now, it's extremely silent already from the outside, and even more interesting it will be when we drive the car how this one behaves. And now the driving part with the 1.5 liter TSI with 150 horsepower, the very new engine, a lot of different interesting elements to cover here. And I would say we start with our Alpina acceleration moment, why not with this engine? Nice, really nice performance. And I think also the sound is quite refined when you really hammer the throttle. Really nice. So, and on the other hand, when you have it at low RPMs, about 2000 RPM, 60 kilometers an hour, you basically don't hear the engine at all. The only thing you're hearing is the noise of the tires or maybe wind noises, but again, sound insulation is really very good here. So, when do we hear the engine actually? It's 2,500 RPM, then we start to hear the engine. But sound-wise, really managed it very well. Also, we have the manual gearbox now. This one is also the first one that is equipped then with the 7-speed DSG. Unfortunately, we could not test it here today. But it will sure perform very good, I'm quite sure of that. We will show you that one then at a later stage with a later test drive. But also the 6-speed manual here is very smooth, so easy to put the gears in, not as crisp as we experienced with the GTI, but that's also not really intended for this very car here. So also when we're going uphill now, enough power. So far the 1.4 liter engine had about 10% share of the total engines that were bought, because a Golf is also quite often indeed bought with low engines to save cost, also for fleets and stuff, and also diesels, but this 1.5 we could increase it. Here now in a roundabout, suspension wise, of course it's softer than with the GTI, but in general the Golf already feels sporty, so you can have a lot of fun also with a base Golf. Also the steering is already pretty direct and progressive, as they call it, so you see you can leave your hands at the steering wheel all the time. You will also see it in more corners then, so that's pretty interesting concept. They figured it out very well. It's a little bit softer than with the GTI. That's basically better for everyday driving. Feels just natural, feels good. Then you can also take a look at the digital instruments now as we are in the tunnel. I was wondering about the aspect, we know when you in the evening look at the computer monitor, and that keeps you awake, and therefore also there's this iPhone function where it goes for the warmer light in the evening, and you should turn the light down of your monitors in the evening, that you don't get too awake, that you can sleep well at night. I wonder, what about those digital instruments? When you look at them, do they make you feel more awake? That would in a car actually be a good thing. So when driving at night, it's maybe an interesting aspect to follow up at a later stage, or to talk or discuss more about. Some of them feel it would be a little bit too bright, but again, it might really help you staying awake. Now, in the instruments, it's hard to see it now on camera, therefore I'm telling you, I discovered this eco sign, and that's the cylinder on demand sign. And that happens, for example, now I'm just having the throttle just a little bit, 80 kilometers an hour, below 2000 RPM, 6th gear. And then not all cylinders are being used, not all being necessary, and that also keeps the consumption down. And we can also, because this car is mainly about consumption, take a look at the live consumption. And at the moment I'm just going downhill when I'm having the throttle just a little bit, 1 liter. I can also just let it go, And then that's also interesting, when I let go of the throttle, really zero consumption, so that's even better than putting the car in neutral. And due to this coasting or sailing function, there's also no real engine brake. And here in the live view also, maybe you can also discover that now, it says 2-cylinder mode. Now the 2-cylinder mode is gone, and also the eco sign when I'm shifting back and is accelerating a little bit further. So we go from 4-cylinder to 2-cylinder. So now I'm accelerating, staying in a normal mode. Now 5th gear, I let go of throttle. I have the throttle still a little bit applied, but now again car tells me 2-cylinder mode and 3 liters of consumption at the moment. So you see there will be a lot of situations where the car will be in the 2-cylinder mode, and you don't really need the power of all 4 cylinders if you're just rolling. That reduces the consumption. Here again, for example, when I let go of throttle, again 2-cylinder mode, but I mean that's basically a 0-cylinder mode now, because there's zero consumption when I totally let go of throttle. So pretty interesting concept, and during our test drive we will also take a look and tell you at the very end of our ride here which consumption we scored totally. That will be very interesting. So so far the average consumption is 6.2 liters, and we are mainly countryside roads here. This is of course good for the consumption, because around to 60 to 80 kilometers an hour the efficiency of an engine is very good, and without much braking, city stuff and so on. But again, we'll tell you later on again what's the final result for the day. And this already comes pretty close also to the official stated consumption. Here again about the dynamic factors of the Golf. Here even in the 3rd gear I can accelerate out of the roundabout. So this 1.5 liter engine is really something to consider now if you're going for a normal Golf. You won't really need more for the acceleration. Of course, it's more expensive than one of the basis engines, that's for sure. But I think it's a good compromise. It already gives you some power, some fun, but then with those new technologies, you can also save a lot of fuel, and that might also render a diesel obsolete, and more people are going away from the diesels. We had some very interesting talks in that respect as well, because there's always the question of those very fine microparticles called Feinstaub in Germany, or in German, and then there's CO2, and then there's NOx. NOx, the one that is issued with a Dieselgate scandal. That was really a crucial part, and the thing is that as for those microparticles, which are pretty harmful for the human body, those are emitted both by diesels and the petrol engine. And actually a petrol engine without a particle filter emits more particles than a diesel with a particle filter. That's what's happening at the moment. And therefore also Volkswagen says by 2018 they will present will more and more introduce more cars. Even before 2018, this year, they want to put the first car on the market, a petrol car with a particle filter. And then it should be evened. But still the problem is with the NOx, and that one is really worse with the diesels. So that's the microparticles stuff. That's as critical for petrol and diesel, but the NOx, that's the critical stuff for the diesels. And you can't really get rid of them. So therefore, maybe for long distance travel, that will still be belonging to diesels for quite a while. But other than that, all of the other traffic will more and more go then away from the diesels, because it will be too expensive to develop new diesels matching the regulations still. So on this one here, I mean, no hybrids. There are also hybrids available here with the GTI. There's the e-Golf, the fully electric vehicle, and also the CNG vehicle, Erdgas. That's also available with the Golf. But this one here, if you just go for the petrol one, it could be a solution to bring consumption down with a normal technology, normal petrol technology. Here again, by the way, also at higher speeds when you're doing some right left, such a good response from the steering and also the suspension. Again, already sporty, a little bit more tilting than with the GTI. That's perfectly normal and also fine. Yes, this car is more comfortable to ride in everyday riding than the GTI, and I also feel the seat. The GTI seat is good, but this Ergo Active seat here offers a little bit more comfort. So if you're more thinking about everyday driving, I just recently had a comment now, I'm living in New Zealand, 2 hours commuting to work every day. Would you recommend a Golf? For tall drivers, for long distance travel, I quite often also recommend a mid-size car or also a compact SUV. But here with this setup, with a normal suspension and also with this Ergo Active seats, I think this is among the most comfortable compact cars as well. So there this is a good long traveling setup also as well. Most people, however, get the diesel then for the Golf when they travel a long distance. But here again, this could really play out very well so far from the consumption. They don't really need the diesel. Also thinking about, are you allowed to go in inner city areas? It's not really about the new diesel, but the older diesels. Paris is a good example now, or London. Or you maybe have to pay some extra taxes. So that's all evolving here for sure. By the way, car in front of us now, I can set the ACC, the adaptive cruise control, keeping me the distance in front of the car. Now the speed is decreased by the car in front of us. I'm doing nothing, and also the speed is being decreased here. And important thing about this system is it's working very smoothly. So the transitions are very good. This one here now was the warning indication that I should take the brakes, and the reason for that is not using the DSG. And when you're not using wrong exit, there we go. When you're not using DSG, then the adaptive cruise control cannot go to 0 because it would stall the engine. And the same, by the way, also with the traffic jam assist. We cannot test that one today because of the manual transmission. The traffic jam assist also is combined only with the DSG. That's one critical information that was missing so far. I forgot to mention that earlier. But you can also imagine that this makes basically a lot of sense. So new DSG will also further cut down the consumption, also in comparison to the DSG that were available before with 1 gear less. Here again, good handling. So really enjoy to ride this car already with this 1.5 liter. You of course have to give it a little bit more throttle, that's for sure. You also have the blind spot monitor equipped with this car. I can also see it right now. Let's see, yes, 100. We could drive a little bit faster. Maybe we can show you some overtaking point. By the way, third gear now, just 3,500 RPMs, but still running not that loud. And then you can again shift up, go 6th gear, and then let's see when the cylinder on demand sets in again. Can lift the throttle just a little bit, maybe. At the moment not, but maybe when the road is going downhill a little bit more. So now again I've left the throttle, RPMs go down again, it shows me the eco mode. And the best thing to really watch that is to go to the live consumption mode in the middle of the display. You could change that one, then you can see that one even better. Going to Palma de Mallorca. So here we go again. A little bit on throttle. Now again, 2-cylinder mode. although I'm still on the throttle a little bit. So it's really when you, before you start rolling, and when you're just a little bit on the throttle. I mean, in most situations you won't really realize it. You cannot really hear it. But what's also important, how's the transition then again from 2-cylinder to 4-cylinder works also pretty fast. You can't really feel it. As soon as you tip on the throttle, all 4 cylinders are back. So that was also one of the major tasks the engineers were facing when designing this technology. Now again, even in the moment of shifting, 2-cylinder mode, now I'm letting roll again, sailing function, 0 consumption now as we're rolling down the hill. And by the way, the difference would be when I'm going to neutral now, 0.8 liters of consumption. The RPM go a little bit more down, but that's because the RPM is coming from the engine. And when I'm rolling down the RPM, it's coming because the car's running anyway. But here again is really, sometimes in some situations, especially in older cars, it was better to put it in neutral to save some fuel. But here it can actually make more sense really to leave it in the gear when you have this sailing function activated. So far the overall consumption, we're at about 6 liters now. 6 liter. Sorry. Liter is the trash. Liter, to be the precise English word, liter. 6 liter. And I think that's pretty promising. And for a compact vehicle, it's been a while since we had 6 liter in the compact class as consumption from a petrol engine. So overall, I would say that's a pretty good result. Or what do you think? So I think the 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine here, good new development. I also like it that they stepped up the game with a little bit more displacement and flexible and powerful enough, and yet consumption seems to be pretty reasonable. Now to our conclusion for today, Volkswagen Golf Facelift. We have had the GTI and here the 1.5 liter in the Highline top trim level. Interesting new color here for sure, the Kurkuma yellow. Very spectacular, especially when sunlight is coming here to the C-pillar. The GTI, of course, driving, racing, fun, that's for sure. Still a good everyday driving vehicle. Here, of course, a little bit more comfortable for the suspension. I can really also recommend those Ergo Comfort Line seats. A lot of great seat surfaces here. The Golf shows you have premium seats also without animal skin. And in general, the interior is really premium. Like, this is a premium vehicle, although it's not initially in the premium segment where usually Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus and so on are residing. Of course, the prices are not that low, but they remain the same as before. So they won't go higher with the prices, and in the basic trim level you have a bigger infotainment screen with 6.5 screen now, and so you get a little bit more for your money even. In general, this facelift, also with the new tuned headlights, have added some more features that make this car moving more a segment up above, at least if you go for that options, because a basic Golf won't be that much changed than before. It's more about the higher trims then, but those are also coming to the market more and more demand also for the higher trims. This is really increasing. Overall, the Golf is still a good package, and if you take a bigger look really at the greater picture, the Golf is still leading in this segment. You can easily say that even with no German bias at all. Thank you very much for tuning into Autogefühl. I hope you liked it here, also with the new engine that promises good consumption features, and also good step with that one here. And one detail I forgot to mention, the frameless mirror, you know, the mirror in the front in the cockpit. That was also a nice new feature. Tune in to our next review. We'll see us next time.